Hi, and welcome to the barn. You got the Mox here, joined by my longtime pal, Jeremy. How long we known each other?
Long time, man. We go way back.
Probably 25 years, right? Maybe more?
Yeah. It'd be back in the mid-'90s, I would say. Earlier than that, probably.
Me and your youngest brother, Mike, we grew up pretty much best friends, inseparable. I mean, I got so many Mike stories. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, I have a few of them.
Anybody from this area probably has a Mike story.
Mike, yeah. Yep.
Mike, me and him grew up like I said, we were inseparable for many years. And through that, know your older brother, Billy, and just became close with your family. And here we are. How many years later? Long?
I would say a solid 20. I graduated in 97, so what's that? Yeah, that's 25 years since graduation.
We reconnected maybe a year ago or so.
Couple years maybe. Kind of just
random on Facebook and with you playing music.
Yeah. I drive people crazy, sending them recordings of whatever I was working on. I'm sure you probably have several of those somewhere. Maybe a hidden gem in there somewhere.
And maybe we'll hear a couple today.
Maybe. Yeah, we can do that.
And it's your first time being at the barn. We appreciate you coming.
Man, it's awesome to be here. I appreciate it.
Me and you communicate, every once in a while, and you'll send me a song, and I'll tell you what I think, and invited you here. But specifically today, we didn't have today planned.
No, sir.
You posted something about baseball this morning, and I commented on it, and that kicked off the conversation. And then a few hours later, here we are. You're in the barn, and we're talking baseball and talking music.
You sent that song, Knuckleball Prime. Yeah, that song, it got me. I'm like, wow, that's on a level you don't hear songs like that quite often where there's something to it, totally different. I never heard anything like that song before.
Knuckleball Prime is a song by Willie T. Taylor. He's a singer-songwriter. And, knuckleball pitchers, you get to your knuckleball prime, right, where you're sort of past your fastball, right? You ain't got the arm strength. You ain't got it anymore. So you try to stay in the league or stay around the show or whatever it is. So you start to change a little bit.
Yep.
And I love how he's depicting that in the story. He's using baseball as an analogy, but it's more about life, getting older and things changing. That's the way I took it.
And it does. I mean, it crosses so many parallels, life, baseball. You could say any sport. Chad, you're a football player, a football team is family, just like any baseball teammate that I've ever had is a brother.
And you have quite the storied past with baseball. That's why I sent you that song, because I know you're a music guy. I know you're a baseball guy from those old glory days, right? And
also I was a knuckleballer at one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I threw a knuckleball. It was sick. I thought I was like, what's that guy's name from Florida Marlins? He had a knuckleball. I thought I was him. Well, one game against Leadwood, a guy by the name of Blake Nelson proved that was not the case. And he deposited about a 420, we'll call it, a 420-foot home run at Brightwell Park. And I looked at PJ and I was like, why'd you call that, dummy? But it was one of them that just set up like right at his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't move. It didn't have any rotation on it. And I'm thinking it's going to move now. It moved all right. It moved over the fence.
I think it just flew by here just a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Still flying.
And Blake made me listen to that story a lot, because it took me a while to live that down, because he would have to mention it pretty much every time he saw me, especially after I went to college and continued playing. But
Blake's a big old boy too. I bet he did put some meat on it.
When he got into one, man, it went, and he got into it. But I would say it was probably a 50-mile-an-hour knuckleball, and he hit it probably 420, 440.
Jeez. Shot.
Hit it out in the he hit it almost up there by Parkway Avenue, where the gas station's at, Brightwell Park.
You're from the Deloge area. You're going to know that well.
Yeah.
We were kind of talking off air. You were a part of some pretty spectacular baseball teams back in the day. Won state championship, maybe even got pretty close on some others, but you played with some straight ballers, right?
Straight ballers.
Right. And did they elevate your
with game? And against? The Mineral area, in my opinion, is probably during certain eras over time, like the mid 80s, there was there were several really good players come through. Baker, and there was Lawler was from down around Poplar Bluff. And then you got guys in the early 90s from Potosi who were dominating, like Denny Brown, Jason Brown. To me, Denny Brown's probably the number one pitcher ever come out of the MAAA conference, in my opinion. And that says a lot because Dan Smith was a teammate. He was 11-0 our senior year, went to Miami, major league draft pick, but he wasn't left-handed, and he didn't have 4 pitches. He had a fastball and a good curveball. You need that third pitch.
You know, Dan's also played football as well, right? I think he was on a national championship team.
Yeah, I think he did play football a little bit, didn't he? What school did he go to?
Yeah, heck of an athlete. And your graduating class back in high school, I know we sound like old guys sitting around the bar talking about the old glory days, but that's kind of what it is, right?
Are. Yeah.
But your graduating class had guys like Dan and you, obviously, and PJ, and just guys that are notorious athletes in this area.
The difference between me and Dan and PJ was I really wasn't a great athlete all around, and with baseball, it just happened my senior year. It happened in 1 year.
But you played pretty much all your life, right? I remember you and your brothers always played.
Yep. Played my entire life, but I was just kind of a fringe player, decent, but I'd kick the ball around the field like I was playing soccer at the time. Yeah, good times, man. I definitely think that we're in an underrated area. I like talking about some of them old guys, Whitey Ball and us finally beating Potosi. That kind of propelled us to state, which was our first school state championship.
Was that the very first one?
For one day, and then the track
won the next yeah.
Which was awesome.
I mean, we had some talent. You're a couple years older than me, but just the time that we were in school at North County, we had a lot of talent because we were also good at football.
Yeah,
so
you guys went to the Dome the very next
year.
Football season.
Yeah, state championship, which we ended up losing, but yeah.
Webb City, who we beat in the championship.
No kidding.
97, yeah.
No kidding.
We beat them 13-2.
Wow.
So at least we got something on us.
Did you get to pitch?
Not against them. Dan pitched the final. I pitched the semifinal game against Jeff City Elias. We won 6-1, and then just played defense, man. You play a sport. You don't make mistakes. You don't give teams extra outs that turn into runs, and that's what we did. We played defense, got, as Pasternak would say, timely hitting and good pitching.
It's a lot of it. It's a lot of success on the diamond there. If you can do those things, it's kind of the small things. I know it sounds cheesy and cliche, but it's sort of the small things, the small ball, like you're talking about with the Whitey ball and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. It becomes a culture. You develop a way of playing and a mindset that it's like almost like a cult. North County baseball team was a cult.
Right.
Where you can go take state championship.
You sacrifice your own success to move a runner over, to do the small things to get in position to have success. And I think that's what you guys hung your hat on that.
We had that. That's a good point, because in the district game against Potosi, Chaz Wigger bunted it was a scoreless game, and he squeezed, I think it was in the 6th inning. We got a 1-0 lead. And then Josh Halsey hit a ball off Jaybird Lawson's foot that I thought took his foot into Fredericktown.
Right.
I think Jaybird was probably throwing, I don't want to exaggerate, but I think he was throwing 96 that day.
Jeez.
And I've seen a lot of pitchers throw mid-90s. I know what it looks like. And he was throwing gas. Halsey got into one, and I don't know how his foot stayed connected to his leg, but he couldn't continue, needless to say. And they brought in Josh Portell, who just so happened to be a guy I had probably 1,000 career wiffle ball at bats against. Luckily, he had a grand slam. We beat them 5-0. Not to rub it in their face, but it felt good to beat Potosi that year 2 times. It did.
When you think back on those times, I'm sure they're pretty special.
Oh, yeah.
In your memory.
Oh, yeah.
couple guys well. I ran into at the bar at the Sand Trap in Park Hills, Corey Maynard and Jared Embry.
Yep.
And I see Jared around town.
Yep.
I see Jared around town quite a bit, but I hadn't seen Corey in 20 years, probably since the last seen you. Like I said, haven't seen him in 20 years. First thing we start talking about is football, old football days.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, it's that brotherhood, and like I think about that with your brother. Me and him were so close growing up, and I haven't talked to him in probably, at least 5 years. But if he walked in here right now, we'd just hop right on those old football stories. Remember that time you did this and this, It's just that brotherhood that's built up, and I think we were a part of some special things, as far as the teams that we were involved in, the people we got to play with.
100%. No doubt about it.
When you watch baseball now, does it seem like a different kind of baseball than when you played?
I don't even watch it.
Really?
There's a time clock on it now
Yeah.
to pitch. Why do they have to have a time clock? I think it's a 30-second time clock. As soon as I got the ball back and got the sign, I'm not wasting any time unless there's a runner on base and I'm holding him or something.
Would downtimes, even between innings, like once you got in a rhythm, pitching is like a rhythm kind of thing,
Pop,
right?
pop, pop, pop.
You just want to keep
Strike
going,
one,
keep
strike
going.
two, yeah.
And you see pitchers that like to work quick, but then some don't. So you were the type that wanted to keep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was a quick pitcher. Yeah, for sure. Like I would force the guy to get into the batter's box. They'd be trying to get a sign for 30 seconds. Come on, dude. Get in the box.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw you a changeup.
We talk about Dan having 2 pitches. What were your main pitches?
I had a 2-seam fastball. I threw about 76 miles an hour, jokingly. Actually, I threw mid to upper 80s. 2-seam fastballs, movement. I had a good 12-6 curveball, circle change, slider. I would also drop down sidearm on occasion.
No kidding.
I could, especially against a right-hander, I could throw a sidearm slider that would just cut across the zone, and it was effective. I mean, at one time I had 8 pitches.
8? Jeez.
Yeah.
And they'd call them all?
PJ called 6, 7 pitches in a game.
Would PJ call the game, or would they get it from the dugout?
PJ called the game.
No kidding. Well, you don't see that a lot.
No, and fortunately, and I think it helped me a lot, was however it worked out, the coaches always let me and the catcher call our own game. I mean, Chaz Wigger is another guy he was my personal catcher at Forest Park my sophomore year. That was the year I was junior college All-American. Chaz Wigger came out of nowhere, and that was his freshman year. And, man, he had a pop time to second base. It was just unbelievable. It was on major league level. Me and him, we were consistently like 2.1, 2.2 seconds.
Yeah, because the whole time of...
So that's about how much time you have to throw out a runner is 1.9 seconds.
So he would only catch when you were starting.
Yeah, I went to the coach and I said, I want him to be my personal catcher. He blocks everything in the dirt, laser beam to second base. Guy could just sit there and hold his glove on the bag and it'd be there. Tag the guy on the toe, you're out. I mean, he was that good.
And I think that's what we're talking about with, like, this area was just rich with athletes.
Yeah.
Baseball being all the MABA stuff and coming up and playing all these summers. Like you mentioned, I was more of a football guy, but I was definitely in and around that world quite a bit. All these kind of even unsung heroes. We talked off mic a little bit about some guys. There was the top dogs, the ones that end up going to Miami and, PJ and stuff, but it was sort of some of those unsung heroes, too, that kind of kept the wheels churning.
Yep. And they're guys like, give a shout out to some of the West County and Bismarck people. C.J. Wright, Hedge Course, Rick Stevens, who else? I mean, Johnson from West County always gave me fits. He was a guy that he had a way of putting his uniform on that made him look slouchy, and then he would walk up to the plate dragging his bat in the dirt with his head down, and you look at him, he ain't gonna hit nothing. And he'd get up there and I'd throw him first pitch fastball and he'd hit it in the gap. And it was probably usually a double because he is fast. But Bobby Simley wasn't a problem. I hope he hears that loud and clear. I don't think he ever maybe foul contact 2 or 3 times I ever saw.
That's funny.
I'm just messing with you.
But I think it's funny, because I played with football, of course, but I played with some ballers too. Played with Dan.
You of them, yeah. You played with McDowell,
Jeremy McDowell, ended up
Ricky,
Yep.
Embry.
And I give all those guys all the credit in the world, but it's like sometimes it's the guys you don't hear about that were just getting after it day in, day after, that made you better, even in practice. If the practice is hard, when it comes to game time, well, that's easy. I get hit by somebody at practice that hits way harder than you do. So when we're playing another team, you're like nothing, And I think that was part of the success, and I think it was part of the mindset too.
It was part of some of the failure too.
Yeah, it was.
Facing PJ in basketball practice every day, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with this. I think I made PJ a better basketball player, to be honest with you, because I could hold my own rebounding against him. I'd have to play like he did. Dirty elbows. What, I kicked you in the hacky sack? Oh, that's my bad. Undercut you, drop you on the floor, whatever I got to do. It don't matter.
I know we get a little bit older and life gets a hold of us, but do you talk to those guys still?
Man, I haven't seen many people since I've been home. Unless I go to Walmart or something, I'll run into somebody. But I've seen a few. I've seen Drew Black a few times. I've seen Donnie Rolick. I've seen
Big Don.
I've seen Matt Weiss, Kyle House, Josh Olsey. I've seen some people, but there's some people I'd like to see too. Ryan Wager, I've seen him. Hubbard. Shout out to all you guys, man. I miss you. This time of year, baseball really starts to spark up in me. It starts to kind of look back at all them days you had on that field and how special it all was. Now we're kind of just figuring that out,
Yeah, and I think it's funny, or maybe just it makes sense that today's conversation right now sparked with a baseball conversation this morning that we were having, on a thing that you put about baseball.
You knew how to connect. You knew how to connect with me.
And I liken a lot of my life to what I learned on the field, as cheesy as that might sound, or as what I learned in practice. Like, I'm okay just putting my head down and going to work. I think success comes with that,
Absolutely.
in timely, in due, when it's due. I don't expect everything all at once, but I do take some of those principles that I learned from my coaches and guys I played with and try to put them in my own life. And we were kind of talking about that as like, man, as a performer, singer-songwriter, you're that pitcher holding that ball on the mound.
Yeah.
It's just you and the guitar, and that's it a lot of the time.
And I ain't got my glove. Yeah, there are similarities there for sure.
And I do think it's important for me anyway, for the things that we do here at the barn is like kind of keep that mindset, and I try to build a team.
Encouragement.
Absolutely. That's why they call me the Mox, right? Johnny Mox.
It's a good atmosphere in here, man. I'm digging it.
Yeah, you said you were going to move in, I think, right? We're going to put you to bed somewhere.
Yeah, I'll probably just stay tonight. I got everything I need. No big deal.
Tell us about your songwriting, man.
I actually started writing songs when I was in 6th grade, kind of like spin-off songs. I wrote a spin-off song of Hank Jr., just nonsense. I didn't know it meant anything at the time. Let's see, Corey Maynard, we talked about him. He has a lot to do with it. He was the first person that showed me how to do anything on a guitar. He started teaching me chord at a time. D, G, C, A, E, then A minor, E minor, B minor, and then F. But
how do you strum your F? Is it the
bar? I do the bar.
Okay.
I don't even know what that chord is. It looks like a C. I guess that's just straight F. Is that F?
So that's not an F. But if you put your pinky up there, it'd be an F.
Try to play that. I play that.
Yeah. And you got your guitar here with you. We're going to do a few tunes. Do you play guitar? How often do you play? Every day?
For 6 years, I played almost every day, sometimes 18 hours a day. And I just recently saw a guy by the name of, Lukather. Steve Lukather.
That's it. Yep.
Saw him on one of the guitar shows I watch. Interviews, they talk about different stuff. And he said that if there was anything that he could tell someone who wants to become a musician is whenever it hurts, put the instrument down, because you can try to do too much, too quick. And so What I was getting at is I would be playing 18 hours a day sometimes because I had to make all that time up.
Right.
I've never had any musical lessons, no, nothing. It's all self-taught. So, I mean, it's a lot of wasted time.
Is it therapeutic for you?
Yeah. Back to the songwriting, it really became therapeutic after I got through some problems I was having with my life. Couldn't never really put anything together. I could play chords. I had one song, and that was it. And I kept doing the same thing over and over. There's a turning point where I cleaned up some stuff in my life and had a clear mind, and stuff kind of started to happen. Some people probably think I'm crazy, but at the time, it didn't really matter where it was going. It was just when you hear a sound that you're trying to duplicate of any song or part of the song or a guitar piece or whatever, and you hear it and you're like, huh, that's pretty close. And that was the first take, you know. I guess it gave me some hope that if I really put my mind to it, I can get as good as I want to get without being Slash.
Right.
I'll do what I do. I'm not going to try to be somebody I ain't, you know. So I try to write songs that are going to connect with people in a way that it's kind of a simple, this is me, you know, accept it or don't. I accept you.
Songwriting, I'm guessing, is a pretty personal, intimate thing. Is it hard to share some of that with other people and not know, or do you care what people think?
I don't care what people think. I don't blame anybody for my past. It's my responsibility. I take full responsibility for everything that I did not do correctly in life that led me down different places that I shouldn't have been. So that leads me to how that affected songwriting was I had all these emotions and thoughts and creativity going on as I was getting clean. And somehow didn't have to do 1, 4, 5 to figure out chords. I just knew what chords went together, and I'd start putting a chord progression together and hear a melody. And sometimes, no kidding, the words would be sang to me from the guitar. It'd just come out of the melody.
Is that when it feels the most right?
Yeah, that's when it started to really kind of take hold, and I couldn't put a guitar down for 6 months. I was doing a lot of writing at that time, a lot of writing, and trying to develop guitar skills at the same time. If you're not really skilled at the guitar, which I'm just a basic guy, you know, I don't do anything crazy, but that kind of limits my singing at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If I could play guitar better, I could sing the song better.
You know, I've used to play a little bit of guitar. Still, every once in a while, you've seen a few acoustics I have around here. I'll pick it up just sitting around the house, and it's just something that kills the time for me. You know, I'm not looking to be a rock star or anything like that. But singing and being a songwriter, it's completely different than just playing guitar. You're trying to paint the whole picture with everything, and it does limit you in a lot of ways. If you're so focused on what's happening with your hands, then you can't fully be there, and it limits what you can do with your vocals and things like that. So I definitely experienced that, and that's sort of what you're talking about?
Yeah, and that just comes with either I was putting too much into my brain and overwhelmed my thought process and messed everything up.
Oh, right.
Or I just wasn't pushing myself to do different stuff, you know, like testing where my voice range was. If I go over the threshold, who cares? Then I know where it's at.
Do you think music's helped you and songwriting's helped you now that you're clean?
Yeah, no question. I think it's kind of filled that baseball void. That's who I was. I was a baseball player. And when that goes away, as crazy or dumb or soft or whatever it may sound like, whenever that goes away and you lose your identity, then I just became a concrete finisher. Wishing I was back on that baseball field. So that's when I developed interest in other stuff other than baseball.
And I told you this off air before we started. I said, let's get your story out there. Because I know so many guys like you, and I'm one of them, that had that same experience where my identity was football. I was Chad the football guy.
Yeah, athletes deal with that. Yeah. But yeah, once you lose your identity of who you think you are as a person or what your foundation of a person is.
No, but I know what you mean, and I know so many guys, and it's probably like some of the same guys you know, that experienced a little bit of loss, right? When we didn't have that in our lives anymore, and you try to find it in different areas. So like, I can think about, and you were around for some of these times we were talking about on it off air, where I was in some bands and we would throw some shows and do some things. If I look back on it now with a little bit of time and a little bit more maturity, I can see all I was trying to do was recreate the football thing. It was just in a different way, right? It was just trying to build a team together and get the boys together.
That's awesome, man. That's a good trait. That's a leadership, that's leadership quality. I think that's what you're doing here.
Looking at it now makes a lot of sense, right? I didn't think about it until today, but probably trying to recreate the same thing.
I mean, you have a good business sense. The whole ambiance of the place is awesome. I got ADHD in here. I can't. There's
too much, right?
To look at. Haven't even really started playing music yet. That's the cool thing about it, because we kind of agreed to that. We could just do whatever, no expectations, just see what happens.
That's kind of what you said. Is like, let me just get a feel for it. And I think you got a good feel now. So I think we're ready to hear some tunes now.
Right on.
Tell us about Back Before I Lost It All.
That's a song. That's one of the last songs I've written. And I had just written it before I had got this opportunity to play a couple gigs last year, about this time of year. So I would say maybe a year and a half ago, I wrote that song. And I was in a place where, I guess the only way I can describe it is if you're a football player. So if you went to football practice every day and there was nobody else around, and you're hiking the ball to yourself, and you're the running back and Cordell Stewart, and I'm getting at. So I felt like I wasn't developing the way I would if I was with other musicians, learning stuff. Kind of got down on myself, and that's how the song came about. It turned into a positive because the words are directed at me, but I think a lot of people can relate to it. You get into a place where you don't want to complain, you don't want to burden people. You've said hi to Joe Schmo 25 times and they ain't responded. All you want is hey man, that's all you want. But yeah, I wrote that song about it. It's a song about mental illness and some of the stuff I've been through, and what it boils down to is, what are you going to do when you get knocked down? After you get back up, however long it takes you, what are you going to do?
This was pretty special for me today, man.
Me too.
We world premiere it right now?
Let's do it.
All right. This is The Barn, live from The Barn Studios. Got J.W. Howell here, old friend. I think the world of you and your family, man. I hope I talk to some of them pretty soon. But we're going to hear the song now. If you like what you hear on this one coming up here, you can also find it on Spotify. And obviously, we're always on YouTube. Please follow The Barn on all of our socials. Jeremy, thanks for coming today, man.
Thanks for having me. nothing